1999 to Hamas, I'm a member. Okay.
This is a man. Yes. Don't joke about supporting terrorism.
Yes.
Don't support about it. ISIS's persecution of the Shia Muslims.
Okay.
Is that alright? Can I go back to talking about murdered Christians
listen.
without you being offended?
No. Allah says in the Quran, indeed it was them who attacked you first. Go to Surah Buruj verse 7. Allah says we saw what they were doing with the believers. And listen, doesn't New Zealand come into your mind?
All the Jews in Israel innocent.
Israel is a terrorist state.
There you go. So he says Israel's not innocent. So in other words, he is justifying it. He's embarrassed by his text, and that's why he's still here trying to legitimize the persecution of Christians. It is about following Jesus. So show me a bishop who preaches that. Go on, name me the bishop who preaches that being Orthodox is not about following Jesus. Go on. Which bishop? 1 second.
Oh, we're going to show you.
You've got no claim to orthodoxy. You have no claim to orthodoxy. You don't have a claim to it as a heritage. You don't have a claim to it as a belief. You don't have a claim to it as a culture.
Really?
You're not orthodox.
Our ancestors built the Byzantine Empire.
My ancestors.
No, you're nothing. You're not
my
Greek.
ancestors.
You're not Greek.
Are you saying?
Are you Greek?
Are you saying?
It's about ethnic identity.
There you go. He says that being Christian is about an ethnic identity, in complete contradiction to what Christianity actually teaches. 1 second, I'm not talking to you right now. Christianity teaches that there is no ethnicity. When you become a Christian, you join a new ethnic group, the Christians. It has got nothing to do with being Greek, and it has got nothing to do with being Russian. You have I'm not talking to you right now. I'm not talking to you. You have no claim to Orthodox heritage. It's got nothing to do with ethnicity. That is the kind of illogical teaching. Shall I tell you what the Bible says? The Bible says, are you listening? The Bible says, bro. Right, I'll talk to him off camera. Let him be off camera. JC, let him be off camera. I'll talk to you off camera. Being Christian, this is what the Bible says. There is no Greek and no Jew. They're one in Jesus Christ. So what it says is there is no Greek. Are you Greek or Orthodox? Tell me, which are you? Which are you? Greek or Orthodox? Right, but the scriptures say there is no Greek or Jew. All are one in Jesus Christ. Being a Christian has got nothing to do with ethnicity. You have no claim to Hagia Sophia. None. It was built by Christians. Those were my ancestors, not yours. Those were my people, not yours. You've got nothing to do with Orthodox heritage. Show me the bishop that says being Orthodox is not about following Jesus. Show me. I've been in the Metropolitan Cathedral in Athens. When they give the Passover message, they give it in every language of the world. So what's it got to do with being Greek? Nothing. Because the message of the Christian people is Catholic. The message of the Christian people is for Arabs. The message of the Christian people is for Greeks. It's for Russians. It's for Serbs. It's for Hispanics. It's for Indonesians. It's for Syrians. It's for Malaysians. It's for Chinese. Being Christian is about joining a different nation, a different citizenship, a different kingdom. And it is not the prerogative. It is not owned by any ethnicity. So it is wrong for Greek nationalists like this man here to claim anything that is Christian as if it is the possession of the Greeks. It isn't. It doesn't belong to the Greeks. The Greeks belong to the church, and it is the church that owns orthodoxy, and that orthodoxy can be shared with anyone from any race. You don't have any claim to Orthodox heritage, and you should stop going around the park saying that you do, because Christianity has nothing to do with ethno-nationalism. Christianity is for all ethnicities.
Just a million migrants coming to the UK.
The church is what I'm talking about. You're changing the subject completely.
Yeah, but I'm asking.
What I'm saying is I have no problem with 10 million African Christians coming to Europe because they have more in common with me as a Christian than an ethno-nationalist like this brother here.
Quick question, why does no, don't bring it to me.
Don't put her on camera. She doesn't want to put her on camera. What I'm saying, so the question is, why does someone have to have something in common to come here? I'm not saying that, sister. The question was, do I have a problem with people from different parts of the world coming here? And I'm saying, in contrast to my conversation with this man here, that I have no problem with 10 million Africans who are Christian coming to Europe because they have every right to the Christian heritage of Europe, just as I, as a Christian, have every right to the Christian heritage of Ethiopia and of Egypt and Greece and Serbia and Russia. Christianity has a telos, a point, a fixed point that all Christians are trying to move towards. And as we move towards that telos, we come closer together. We become more like one another. And that's the way that Christianity works, which is why it is supra-ethnic. It is above ethnicity. It's why it is super-class. It is above your class and status in society. It is above nationalism, because it is above any nationality. You're right, brother. It is a new form of nationality that brings people together from different races and different countries, united in a common identity, with a common history, a common set of values and a common set of beliefs. Yes, sister?
I feel like that's the problem, not seeing colour, not seeing things. Like, everyone tries to put down other people's struggles.
Yeah, it's a very fair question. I'm going to repeat it. Correct me if I misrepresent your question. What you're saying is that the struggles of, say, someone who is black or Indian, even if they are a Christian, is different from the struggles that I would face as a white European Christian. And thus, because of that reason, we should identify people's colour. Okay, is that fair? Okay. I agree with a lot of the assumptions that underlie the question. The struggle of black Christians in this country is different from the struggle of a white Christian, because our society, you'll have to forgive the clown, they do get attracted to Speaker's Corner. Yeah?
Excuse me.
So
You're not white.
Okay.
Excuse me.
There's
no blacks.
Sister, I'm going to try and stand closer to you so I can answer your question. Don't put her on camera. So I'm standing closer so this sister can get an answer to her question. You'll just have to ignore it. Okay? So what I'm saying, can you hear me? Yeah? So what I'm saying is, brother, you're being rude to the girl. You're being rude to the girl. Don't put her on camera. He's just being rude to the sister. She's asked a question and he won't let her. Right. Do you want me to answer the question or him?
No. What's the question?
No, you don't come. Don't dominate the girl.
Question was. What was the question?
Don't dominate the girl. Leave her alone.
You're right. Who's answering the question?
Yeah. Okay. So, in terms of ethnicity.
What's a Christian?
In terms of Christian solidarity.
What's a Christian?
We should understand. We should understand. I'm so sorry, sister. Okay, we're going to walk away from this guy so the sister can have an answer to the question. Come this side of the camera, sister. Sister, come this way. Yeah, you stay off camera. So, in answer to your question, I fully accept that the struggles of different ethnicities is different because of their ethnicity. But what I am saying is that I wouldn't judge a man because of his ethnicity. I wouldn't say that someone who is, say, black, yeah, is less than me because I'm white. And that's what I mean when I say that Christian identity is above ethnicity. It's a way of saying that we're all equal and that matters of the colour of our skin are not important.
Wait, do you see like Muslims equal to or like other religions?
I believe that every human being is born with a dignity that is given to them by God because they're made in the image of God, and that is something you're born with. It's not something dependent upon your religion. But I see Christians as my family, and so I have an obligation that is above the obligation that I owe to a non-Christian, in the same way that every human being has a sense of they should do right by everyone, but they have a special obligation to their mothers, their fathers, their brothers, their sisters and their cousins.
Wait, so if you were in public and you saw someone like someone being like racist to someone,
Yeah.
because they're not Christian, would you like not defend them?
Of course I would defend them. Of course I would defend them. But let's look at another example, right? In the news recently, we all heard about that horrendous event that happened in New Zealand, right? 56 Muslims killed in cold blood by a racist because they were immigrants. Now the media told you it was all Islamophobia. That was a lie. It wasn't. It was an attack based upon race, not religion. Okay? Did any of you hear about the 120 Christians that were butchered in Nigeria on the 11th of March this year? You didn't, did you? So let me ask you a question. Why didn't you hear about them? Didn't you hear about them because they were black? Didn't you hear about them because they were poor? Or didn't you hear about them because they were Christian? The media always talks about the horrendousness and the wrongness of racism. So we know it isn't because they were black. And the media always talks about how to help the poor. So we know it isn't because they were poor. What does that leave? It leaves the fact that they were Christian. 120 Christians were murdered in cold blood in Nigeria on the 11th of March, and you never heard about it. What's the liberal media doing? They are saying that the lives of Christians are worth less than the lives of Muslims. Now that's not a criticism of anyone but the media, but it is something that you should be aware of.
Well, the media is just they're very racist, they pick and choose like who they want to say, what they want to say.
Oh, absolutely, sister.
There's no point of even like mentioning.
High five. You're in total agreement.
The media just corrupts us all.
Yep.
Even when Raheem Sterling, the footballer, they it's due to the fact that he's like, because he's like, they'll be racist and something like, oh, Raheem Sterling bought a house missing a penalty.
Yeah. You're totally right. The media invite you to look here, right? They say, look at this square, don't look out of the square. And the reason why they invite us to look at a certain square is because they are trying to herd us in a certain direction. They want to make us sheepishly follow the narrative that they have constructed. And that's why anyone who contradicts their narrative, they lampoon, they deride, and they accuse of being some kind of hate preacher. The fact that as a Christian, I speak up about the fact that 120 Christians in Nigeria were butchered, hacked to death by men, women and children. Go and look into it yourself. By Muslim extremists. And I point out that that hasn't been talked about in the media. I guarantee there'll be some liberal left-wing progressive who will accuse me of hate speech. And all I've done is demand that my family, my brothers and sisters in Nigeria, should be treated with the same dignity and value that the Muslims in New Zealand were treated with. Why is it, as a society, we have this term Islamophobia, but there's no such word like Christophobia? Why don't we talk about the prejudice that is directed towards Christians because of their faith? I'll tell you why. It's because the media are using this term Islamophobia to suppress legitimate and fair criticism of an ideology. Islam for 1400 years has persecuted Christians. That is just a fact. like saying the sky is blue, gravity pulls you down.
Because like, if an Irish person does something and they're an IRA terrorist, so we get the terrorist shite as well. My mum was searched every day going to work in the 70s during the Troubles, like, and I don't like the black or white thing. I think that comes from American media where like white people are the white supremacy, and it's all a European versus African thing, but you're like oppression and colonization happened within Europe as well. So I just
shall I tell you how the media work? Right? The media work by packaging information in a way that they think you can understand. However, they also put a rose-tinted filter on the information as they present it to you. So if they want you to have a certain opinion about someone or something, they will present that information in a certain way. And basically, the liberal media think you're all thick. So they present things in simplistic dualities.
So you think there's a liberal media?
There is a liberal media.
I don't think it exists.
1 second, bro. I will reply to that, but just let me deal with this brother's comment.
Fair enough.
So, the liberal media present things in simple, false dualities because they essentially think you're too thick to understand nuance, variation, and difference. And so, they will not talk about the fact that Muslims are persecuting Christians right now as we speak in Pakistan, Egypt, Nigeria, and a whole bunch of other parts of the world, because they think that you're so stupid that you will just think that every Muslim is responsible for that. That's why they won't talk about it. But they should talk about it, and they should be forced to talk about it. Let me just deal with that brother's comments and then, okay. So the brother said, do I think there is a liberal media? To be more precise, I don't want to cast aspersions on classical liberalism. When I say liberal, it should be more accurately understood as liberal progressive. A kind of atheistic, agnostic, relativist ideology that seeks to negotiate the world in such a way as to say that questions of identity are of no value. And so there's no reason to get het up, bent up and frustrated about your identity being stripped away from you by globalization, because they want you to be consumers of the products that they produce and the experiences that they provide, so that they become rich. And that is why they tell you, don't get het up about the persecution of Christians in the Middle East. Because if you did, you might think that there's something more important than your own personal experiences and what kind of shoes and handbags you own. Sister, you had a comment or a question? Let me, can I reply to that? Okay, so the sister says that it wasn't about that people that kill people are outside of the religions that they claim to follow. And I fully understand, sister, why you say that. I fully get that. Because that's the message that the media tell you all the time. Now, let me be clear, because my next comment could be very easily misunderstood. So I want to qualify it before I say it, so that people understand what I'm really saying. I am the first to say that not every Muslim is a terrorist, and that there are many Muslims who would disagree with the persecution of Christians by their Muslim brothers and sisters. So I'm not saying that every Muslim is responsible. However, and this is why I think you're wrong, sister, we Christians have lived under Islamic rule for 1400 years in different parts of the world. So we have 1400 years upon which to base our understanding of what being ruled by Islam means for us. And universally, down through 1400 years of Christian Muslim history, and right across the entire world, that experience has been consistent. We Christians have been persecuted. So whilst not every Muslim is responsible for that, it is fair to say that those Muslims, those particular Muslims, let's say that 3% that do persecute Christians are doing so because something in Islam legitimizes that. And before you contradict me, sister, I invite you, you can contradict me, but I invite you, when you go away, to look up the plight of the Coptic Christians, to look up the plight of the Pakistani Christians, to go and look at the plight of the Nigerian Christians, to go and look at the plight of the Christians in Eastern Europe under the Ottoman Empire, to go and look at the plight of the Christians who lived under Islam in the Abbasid Spain, to go and look at the plight of Christians in Tunisia today, in Palestine today, in Egypt today, in Nigeria today, in Morocco today, in Lebanon today, in Pakistan today, in Syria today, in Jordan today, in Saudi Arabia today, in Chad today, in South Sudan today, in North Sudan today, in Somalia today, in Malaysia today, in Indonesia today, in many parts of the world.
You're not ashamed.
Where did you get that information from?
It's common sense.
So the sister,
Muslim is going to out and start murdering people. Exactly, they are. So why are they killing every day? Because you get assholes who are mentally ill.
Sister,
That's all it is.
sister, let's say it's 3%. We all agree that the extremist Muslims are a tiny minority of the overall Muslim population. 3%. What's 3% of 1.2 billion people? That's 40 million people. That's a problem. That's a problem. Let me understand. Right. So, sister, this is what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to do your research, because what I am not saying is that every Muslim is bad. I'm not saying that. I've dated Muslims. I've been friends with Muslims. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. So, one second. Let me just reply, and then you reply. What I'm saying to you is that the media has lied to you. They have said to you that Christians can be just as bad as Muslims. So, where's the evidence of this global Christian terrorist network blowing up mosques every day? Because Christians are being killed every day. There will be Christians dying today as we debate about whether they can be equally horrible. Now, I am not saying that every Muslim taps into those Islamic teachings that teach supremacy. Most Muslims don't. But the fact is, it is there in the Quran. Did you know? Did you know? In the Quran, it teaches that I, as a Christian, in an Islamic society, should be humiliated. Thank you for asking. I'll show you. Oh, I can't. I have a problem.
said
You
that
don't know your own
I've
history.
been friends with Muslims and dated
You don't know your own
Muslims.
history.
It's not really an argument because it's like a racist person saying,
about
I
what's
can't
going
be racist, I
on
have a black
today.
friend. If I said the N-word, I'm racist, so I'm racist.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get your
No,
argument.
I'm not, okay, I'm not educated at all. I'm talking with no education behind
You're doing fine, sister. You're doing fine. You're doing perfectly fine. The sister's made a lot of very good points. Sister, what I'm inviting you to do,
I'll do research.
yeah, what I'm inviting you to do, and I invite all of you who are skeptical of my words to do the same, because I understand why you're skeptical. Everything that the society tells you that I'm wrong. Everything you hear on the radio tells you that I'm wrong. Everything you see on TV tells you that I'm wrong. So I invite you, sister, to go away and to speak to Coptic Christians, to go away and to speak to Pakistani Christians that will contradict the lies that you have been told by the media. By contrast, sister, 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 this man is a man, this man is misrepresenting what happened in New Zealand.
What happened? What happened?
What happened in New Zealand was a racist attack by an ideologue committed to racism.
It was racist.
And it should be condemned.
Okay.
But you shamefully
Yes.
are using that attack
Yes.
to push a different agenda that is not connected to reality.
When ISIS carry attacks out, do you condemn it? This is from your religion, and now you're
Does
upset.
ISIS?
You are a.
Does ISIS?
Yes.
Does ISIS kill Christians because they're Christian?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Did the Ottoman Empire
Yeah.
kill Christians because they were Christian?
No.
Right.
No.
Yes, they did. Go and speak
Prove it.
to the Orthodox Christians.
Prove it.
Just get a
Prove
book
it.
and I'll library.
Brother, you're Orthodox, right? Tell me.
I'm
this,
Orthodox. I'm
this
Orthodox.
this brother is an Orthodox
Are you
Christian.
Orthodox?
Yes.
Right. Did the Ottoman Turks persecute Christians in Eastern Europe because of their faith?
Yes, and if you walked down the road and a Muslim came towards you, you had to cross the road. You had to wear a
Give
coat
examples.
with a belt.
And
You
who
had
is
to
it?
wear
Who
a
is
belt.
this guy?
If you opened the shop,
Who are you,
you
Alex?
had to be underground so that the Turk could look down upon you. It was humiliation and taxes, and these are liars.
That's
These are liars.
That's what the Ottoman Turks did to the Christians. Now ask me.
No, this is
One
history.
second. Ali Dawah.
Get ready.
Ali Dawah. Were the Ottomans? Was the Ottoman Caliphate an Islamic caliphate?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much. So ISIS, which he says was not Islamic, did the same as the Ottoman Turks, which was Islamic, and they both did the same.
No problem. Can I talk? Can I talk?
Yeah, of course you can.
Did they commit genocide to the Armenians before we go away? Did they commit genocide to the Pontians?
Calm down, Uncle.
Did they
Did
commit
they? Ali, how many Christians died in the Armenian massacres?
Ask me a question.
How many? 1.2 million.
Wait, everyone's doing a war right now. How
Yes.
Are you finished?
Because this is the truth and they won't answer it. It's called diversion.
Wait,
Diversion.
Okay, 1 second. 1 second, 1 second. Sister, 1 second. 1 second, sister, 1 second. Yeah. Firstly, if he needs to allow me to talk, okay? If a Muslim went into a church with a gun, automatic, with a camera, and start shooting Christians, bang, 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 bang. And if I came to the park and said that was racism, what would these guys say? They'll get a panic attack. Have you ever had a panic attack before? You know when your heart beats fast, you start, I'm gonna die. Yeah?
Lying.
They don't get a panic attack.
Lying.
They'll say,
This is called diversion.
Wait 1 second. Yes,
Lying.
no.
If the Muslims
Let me
shout
speak.
Let me speak.
Allah
Let me
Akbar,
speak.
then you know he's
Well,
killing
the one
Let
who-
him speak for a
let
few
me
minutes.
speak.
Let him speak for a
No,
few
no,
minutes and then we'll
give me
reply.
justice, yeah, okay, you've made claims, let's address it. Their son, what are you pointing in my eye? Where's Bobby's son?
Bora, focus on what you're saying or go away, bro. You're biting in the conversation, bro.
So now, 1 second, yeah?
Sister,
The
I'd
question
invite
I
you
need
to look
ask
up the
this.
term janissary.
1 second.
Look up the term janissary.
Now, Ottoman Empire, any Muslim, do we agree that there's bad and good Muslims? Is there bad and good Christians?
Yes.
And we found out, yeah?
Yes.
Bad and good Jews?
Yes.
Bad and good Hindus?
Yes.
Okay, good.
We're all in agreement. Well done,
agreement.
Borat.
The Ottoman Empire, I don't know history. Have they done maybe
do.
some atrocities? Maybe they have.
You just said they didn't. You said earlier they didn't.
When they said
That's what you said?
I accepted they're the caliphate. You said
You said they didn't persecute Christians because they were Christian.
That's specific. We need to give me evidence to that, yeah? That's
I'm going to. I've got it right here.
So,
Got it right here.
the question that we need to ask is the following, yeah? Okay, atrocities towards the Muslims has been done by the Christians, and the Muslims have done it to the Christians as well.
Sorry, which Christians?
1 second.
Which Christians?
What do you mean?
When did Christians commit atrocities?
Lord's Resistance Army in Central Africa.
They're not.
They're
the
not.
Lord's Resistance Army.
not.
The
They're
Lord's
not
Resistance Army. The Lord's Resistance Army was not Christian. The KK are not Christian. They're ethno-nationalists. They're ethno-nationalists. They're ethno-nationalists.
So we can both agree that there's bad and good Christians, yeah, and Muslims, yeah. So now.
No, 1 second. Well, 1 second. We agree. I have already said this. I have already said this.
Sir, I haven't finished.
Ali Dawah, we've already said this.
I haven't finished, please.
No, don't.
One minute.
Ali Dawah. This might work to people who don't know who you are, but I know who you are. You come here every week and you play this game all the time. You play this game all the time. He says there's no evidence of why Muslims fight Christians. I'll give it to you.
I haven't finished.
It was narrated by Abu Hurairah that the Messenger of Allah, I have been commanded to fight the people until they say La ilaha illallah. If they say it, then their blood. I don't speak Arabic. I don't speak.
You're doing good. If you accept Islam, it's good.
Ali, jokes aside, bro.
Carry on.
Jokes aside. Jokes aside. Your revision of history. The Ottoman Caliphate you have already accepted was Islamic. They kidnapped Christian children, they converted them to Islam. These were called Janissaries.
Apparently.
Now, apparently, notice the denial. Notice the denial. So all of you can now go away. Can anyone Google it right now? Google the word Janissaries. He says apparently. Because what you don't know about Ali Dawah is he is an apologist for the very terrorists that you all condemn. He is an apologist for Islamists. That's what he is an apologist for.
I'm a Muslimist.
Do you condemn the terrorists who are attacking Israel?
Which terrorists?
Hamas, Hezbollah, Islamic Jihad. Do you condemn them?
One second. He caught me, yeah? Okay. He caught me.
Do you condemn them?
Yes. One second. I condemn anybody that takes innocent human lives. 100%.
Yeah, good. So do I. Thank you. Yeah.
Everybody?
Yeah, we're all condemning that. All the Jews in Israel innocent.
Israel is a terrorist state.
There you go. So he says Israel's not innocent. So in other words, he is justifying it. He's playing games with words.
Does Israel kill innocent
He said, listen to what he said carefully. He said, I condemn anyone who kills innocent people, but Israel is not innocent. So in other words, he supports Hezbollah. He supports Hamas. Do not be fooled by this man.
I'm a member.
Don't be fooled by him.
29.99 to Hamas. I'm a member. Okay.
This is a man. Don't joke about supporting terrorism. Don't support about it.
Can I ask you?
This is a man who said, who talked about masturbating over babies. He's on camera. He's on record. This is a man.
Prove it.
This is a man. This is a man.
Can you prove it?
This is a man
Can you prove it?
who endangered two innocent families so he could be famous. He went around trying to dox Tommy Robinson and endangered two innocent families. Do not be fooled by his wit and humour. He may be funny, but he is an apologist for terrorism and Islamism.
Can I speak now?
Yeah, of course you can.
Thank you. That's not true, no problem. I endangered 2 family lives.
Yes, you did.
I was on the front.
Are you embarrassed by that, Ali?
No problem. No problem.
Are you embarrassed by it?
You talk.
Are you embarrassed?
You spoke. I'm under more oppression. I'm under oppression.
What?
Listen, Bob, yeah? When I come here, your face and your temperature changes, yeah?
Not
and
really.
rightly so. Let me tell
Not
you why,
really.
yeah?
Not
because
really.
you know, these are look ad hominems, yeah? Personal attacks, yeah? Oh, you went and said that you should ejaculate over. Where?
Are they true?
Where?
Are they true?
Prove it.
So you're denying it?
Prove it.
Are you denying that you tried to dox Tommy Robinson?
Prove it.
Are you denying it?
One second.
Deny it.
Deny it.
Deny it.
Can I speak?
Deny that you tried to dox
This
Tommy Robinson.
conversation's becoming about you two just cussing each other.
One second. Allow me to talk. If you come, it shows you're just weak. You can't handle it. If I shared Tommy Robinson's address, why did he go after some white lady?
Let me listen to him.
Why did he go after a
I'm
white
trying to
lady?
listen to him.
No, there's no
I'm
need.
trying to
Easy,
listen.
it's simple.
Yeah, there is.
No. I don't want to divert the topic. Let's go back to it, yeah? He's saying the Ottoman Empire very bad, etc. No problem, yeah?
Yes.
Let's go to history. Chief Rabbi of Edirne. Where is Edirne?
In
You don't know.
Turkey.
Turkey.
Keep going.
Okay. Isaac Zafarti. Listen to what he says, yeah? Okay. These are the people who come and say, you impose jizya on us, yeah, we don't want to pay. Look what somebody who lived under the Islamic rule says.
Yes.
Did you ever live in Islamic rule?
Thankfully, no.
Go to
Thank
the
you.
Turkish
I've got
history
plenty of
museum,
brothers and
you will
sisters
find
that
this
have,
letter.
though, and still are.
Thankfully, no. But let's see the one
Thankfully,
who
no.
lived.
Yes, let's hear your selective quote. Come on. Your selective quote.
If I said to you guys,
Your selective quote.
if I said to you guys, BMW is a very nice car, and you said to me, have you ever driven one? I said no. You would take it from a person who's driven the car, right? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's
Yeah.
go to somebody who's lived under Islamic rule.
Media.
Here, listen
Look at this
carefully.
box. Ignore
Listen
that one.
carefully.
Listen
Yeah,
to this,
yeah.
but ignore that.
Here in
the
the
same
land.
thing.
Is there any Muslim? Are you Muslim? Please record it because he's not going to put this up. I know this guy. Yeah, he's going to go and delete
No,
it.
don't lie.
Why you
Don't
lying,
lie.
bro?
You're lying.
Why you
Why are you lying?
Here,
You're lying. All the time. You're lying.
Here in the land of the
You're lying.
Listen carefully. Listen carefully. Here in the land.
No, let him give his selective quote.
Yeah.
Let him give his selective
One
quote.
second. This is a Jewish.
Rabbi.
Here in the land of the Turks, we have nothing to complain of. We possess great fortunes. Look at this man, you need to know.
Yeah, because obviously
Much
he's
gold
going to
and
criticise the
silver.
people that have life
Much
over
gold-
control over life over
Much
them.
gold and silver are in our hands. We are not oppressed with heavy taxes, and our commerce is free and unhindered. Rich are the fruits of the earth. Everything is cheap, and every one of us lives in peace. Peace? I thought you're supposed to be getting killed.
Well,
Anyways,
go and look
anyways,
at, go and talk to the
anyways,
Orthodox
anyways,
Christians of the
anyways.
East. 1400 years of
Let
war.
me finish. In peace and freedom. Here the Jews is not compelled to wear a yellow hat as a badge of shame. Yes? Okay. As in the case of Germany, where even wealth and great fortune are cursed for a Jew because he therewith arouses jealousy among the Christians, and they devise all kinds of slander against him to rob him of his gold. This is a Jewish man living in an Islamic state. Yeah?
Yep.
So one second, let me get this right. I swear we're supposed to persecute you and kill you and whether
Which you did.
Where's the Orthodox guy gone?
Right.
He's
So,
gone. When he ready, he thought I need to get out of here.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. So, well, let's just deal with his point. He's raised a point.
Yes.
He's quoted
Is this
selectively. I believe it.
Good.
He quotes selectively. He quotes selectively someone who gives praise to the Ottoman Empire. Let's be clear. Do you think that if he was critical of an intolerant state, that intolerant state would allow him to make public criticism? Do you think that a state that has no tolerance would allow someone to criticize it? If you think I am lying, as Ali Dawah does, a man who at the very start said he doesn't know history. Well, I do know history. I invite you to look up the Janissaries, to look up the fact that Muslim jihadis would go into Christian villages, and if they could not pay the jizya tax, as payment, they would take the children from them. take them to the east, forcibly convert them to Islam, and I would be the first to say that that bit was un-Islamic, and then they would send those children back to wage war against their own fathers, mothers, brothers and sisters. That is also true. Ali Dawah is playing the same media trick that the media play. Look at this bit, ignore that bit, because that bit contradicts the narrative I want to make. Don't be fooled by humour. Yes, Ali Dawah's a good comedian, but that doesn't mean that what he is saying is true or accurate. Go and research it yourself. The Janissaries, the Ottoman Empire in Eastern Europe. Your turn.
Finished?
Yep.
Okay, I'm just looking for a quote.
Quick question, does
yes.
Okay.
I don't believe so, no.
Because he's going to divert.
No, she's alright.
Christians, they worship the same God.
I don't believe so.
No, he believes three in one.
Yeah, we don't believe in the same God.
Okay. Okay, now what did he say? Listen, I want to make something very, very simple claim, yeah? He said, guys, please, yeah? He said that the Christian, the Muslims kidnapped the little kids, yeah, because they didn't pay jizya, yeah? Okay, all right. We're going to go to Abu Yusuf, recorded a report from Khalid bin Walid. No, sorry, Abu Ubaidah, whom Umar had put in command of the Arabs. Listen carefully, yeah? This is a Sahabi, yeah? The companions of the Prophet, he's given him. Abu Ubaidah, whom Umar had to put in his command of Arabs, ordered Habib bin Maslama to return to the emissaries the tribute which he had exacted from them with this message. So listen carefully. The Muslims were conquering lands and they were protecting the Christians, and they can live in their own lands and have their own rights. They can do whatever they like. Now watch carefully. Because the Romans were attacking certain sects of the Christians and the Muslims couldn't defend them, what did they do? Listen carefully. Listen carefully, and it finishes with this, yeah? We are both bound by our mutual oaths. Now we are going to do a battle with the Romans. The Muslims are saying we're going to go and fight the Romans. If we return, yes, this tribute is ours. So the jizya that they pay, they say this tribute is ours. But if we are defeated and do not return, we absolve our oaths. So they left emissary for Damascus, and the Emir Abu Ubaidah ordered Sa'id bin Khultum to return to the tribute of the Damascus, likewise to them. So he's given the money and saying the following: the reason we take this money is to protect you. Since we are fighting the Romans and we may not protect you, we have no right to take this from you, because if we lose the battle, then Allah's gonna question us. If we return victorious, we shall take it back. Meaning that if we deserve it, we're gonna take it back. So now let me get this right. We imposed the jizya, we kidnap your kids, apparently, yeah?
You do?
Okay.
You did?
Yes.
You did?
Yeah. Stop watching Paranormal Activity, yeah?
Wait, you're going to be proven wrong in a second,
movies,
mate.
yeah? So the Sahaba, the companions, are given the jizya and saying, keep it. If we fight the Romans and get defeated, we have no right to this. So now, there's 2 points here. Either this is the teaching of Islam, or the one you're quoting, or this is correct, and what you're quoting was done, if it's true, by same goes with, there is bad Muslims and bad Christians.
Okay, can I reply now?
Please do. Reply to this point.
Okay. So notice, he quoted a text that said, if we fail to conquer your lands. Did you all hear that bit? Because he slided over that bit. He said, if we fail to conquer your lands. In other words, we're invading and conquering your lands. Did you all hear that?
Listen, Bora.
But notice. You are ascribing me to terrorists.
Notice.
You know what? I'm just
notice.
On camera, I will get solicitors involved.
Good.
He's connecting me to ISIS supporters. No problem.
Good. Do it.
Record this. You record this. No, record this again. Record this again.
Do it.
Brother, can someone
so, notice. Notice.
He's ascribed me to terrorists.
You are an apologist for terrorists.
Listen, please record this.
You just did on camera try to justify Hamas and Hezbollah in their attacks of Israel. Ali, let me reply to your argument. Let me reply to your argument. That's fine. Let me reply to your argument. So, he said that it was a lie that the Ottoman Empire was killing Christians. So let the Orthodox Christians speak for themselves. This is from an article written in Johns Indianapolis. It's an academic study. The present article is based, it's written recently, listen.
Okay.
Listen.
He wrote it.
Listen, not I. It's a good joke. It's a good joke, but it doesn't change the facts.
Your job is
Notice, Ali Dawah suddenly doesn't want me to talk. Notice, Ali Dawah doesn't want me to talk. We Christians, what you need to understand is that we Christians celebrate the deaths of those who die for the faith. We call them martyrs. We assign days to them, and then we praise them with honor because they had the courage to die. So we keep a record of those who died for the faith and why they died. Listen, the present article is based on a variety of sources and principally on the biographies of 172 Greek Orthodox neo-martyrs, according to several accounts from the conquest of Constantinople to the last phase of the Greek War of Independence. The Ottoman Turks, are you listening?
Yes.
The Ottoman Turks condemned to death 11 ecumenical patriarchs, condemned to death nearly 100 bishops and several thousand priests, deacons and monks. Bompolines, 1952. Paparounis, with no date. Peratonis, 1972. Pocaville, 1824. These are his sources. These are his sources. Why are you embarrassed about the Ottoman Turks all of a sudden? Why are you embarrassed?
Are you a commentator? You're not.
Suddenly he's embarrassed. He was so confident a minute ago that Ottoman Turks had not killed Christians. But now the facts are contradicting him. He wants to shut me down. It is impossible to say with certainty how many men of the cloth were forced to apostatize. Nevertheless, many preferred martyrdom to apostasy, and of the above thousands, several have been canonized and raised to sainthood by the Greek Orthodox Church. Boom!
Hadouken!
Hadouken!
That's it, Bora. What's your comeback?
He's excited. He happy. Okay. I want to ask you guys a simple question, yeah? You know this New Zealand shooter? If he was watching this video and he thought to himself, in an hour I'm going to carry out this mass attack. Let me watch this video between Bob and Ali. Let's see what Bob has to say. Bob comes and says, Ali is connected to these ISIS, you know the guy who carried out the attack? Yeah?
No, I said you're an apologist.
No, what's it? Apologist. No.
For
Look,
terrorism.
It's on camera.
Yeah, it's on camera.
It is on camera.
You're an apologist for terrorism.
When you get the letter from
you
the
support Hamas and Hezbollah. Deny it.
Deny it.
Deny it. You're on camera. Deny it. Say you don't support Hamas and Hezbollah. Why isn't he denying it? Why isn't he denying it?
Did I buy in when he was talking?
Why isn't he denying it?
Let me talk.
Why is he not denying it?
Why is he not denying it?
No, brother.
Hezbollah and Hamas.
Terrorists, that's right.
Deny it, come on.
They give me a discount.
Look at that.
Please. Okay. Yes. Okay.
Jokes aside.
No, 1 second.
It's not funny. People are dying.
Yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
I'm asking a simple question.
you're not even
If the
answering
New
that.
Zealand shooter was watching this debate between me and Bob,
Suppose Hamas.
and Bob came and said, yeah, Ali is an apologist for the guys who carried out the attacks, do you think that shooter's going to say, you know what? I'm not going to carry out this attack because Muslims, they don't support terrorism. There's good Muslims and bad Muslims. Or he's going to say, you know what? They're the same. Which one would he say? Which one would he say, brothers and sisters? I'm asking you guys, what would he say? Would he stop the attacks or would he say, you know what? No, I'm going to go and carry out the attacks. We have affirmed.
So you're trying to blame me for the New Zealand attacks? Are you joking?
I never said that. Yeah?
That's exactly what you're trying to imply.
never said such a thing.
That's exactly what you're
I
trying to
never said
imply.
such a thing, yeah?
That's what you're trying to
Likes
imply.
on
I never said such
You're
a thing.
trying to blame me for the New Zealand attacks.
I never said such a thing, yeah?
That is exactly what
Okay.
you're trying to imply.
So
maybe I'll counter-sue.
There you go.
I'll sue you for defamation.
Sue Bora. Come on, Bora.
Anyways.
That's what you've just done. So we'll sue one another.
So now, anyways. Where
did you come from?
Can you learn to be quiet? Can you be quiet? Can you be quiet? Can you be quiet?
Or you denounced them?
Yeah.
Yeah, you denounced
Why are you being rude to everyone else?
Anyways.
Why are you being rude to everyone else?
Why
are you being rude?
Now.
You've had the chance to deny that you support Hamas and Hezbollah.
Yes.
Do it.
It's very clear.
Do it.
Everyone
Do it.
knows I condemn anyone, be it Hamas, be it ISIS, be
You
it
kill innocent people, but then you said Israel is not innocent.
Let me finish.
You said it was a terrorist state, and it's on camera.
Lord's Resistance Army, KKK, your friend who carried out the attacks in New
There you
Zealand.
go. He's trying to blame me for the New Zealand attack.
No.
Do not be fooled by his humour. He might be funny, but under that humour is something quite dark.
Why are you so scared of me talking? I listen to you. He's insecure. So,
Not insecure.
No, why don't you let me talk?
He was interrupting me earlier. Why weren't you telling him to shut?
Let me talk.
Why were you not telling him to shut when he was interrupting me?
Guys, I repeat it again. Are there bad Christians?
Yes.
Are there bad Muslims?
Yes.
Are there good Christians?
Yes.
Are there bad
Muslims.
Muslims?
Yes.
Is there
I'm
good
helping
Muslims?
you now. Yes, they're good Muslims.
Okay, so now we've all understood there's bad
Yes.
and there's good.
Yes.
Now,
Where did Muslims get
when, 1 second, is your argument the following, sir? Muslims all are bad?
No.
Okay, good. Are there Muslims, 1 second, are there Muslims that are good?
Of course there are.
Okay, just because it's my time, I'm just, in percentage wise, how would you divide the good and bad Muslims? Is it 50-50? Bad Muslims are more, good Muslims are which one?
Right, I'll answer that question.
But quickly, please.
No. I'll either answer it properly
Okay,
or I'll
how
wait
long-
until
how
it's
long-
my
how
turn.
long- how
All
long-
right.
How long would you answer it? How long would you
It'll take a couple of minutes.
Okay, answer in your time.
Okay, I'll answer in my time.
Okay,
I'll
so
answer in
now,
my time.
let's make it very simple, yeah? When a Christian, and a bad Christian in New Zealand, yeah, carries out their
Why? No. No. Why are you lampooning
Let me
Christians?
finish.
He wasn't a Christian. He was an ethno-nationalist. He was an ethno-nationalist. He said it in his manifesto that he wasn't a Christian. Look what Ali Dawah is doing. He is trying to lampoon Christians for what happened in New Zealand.
Now, let me
That's what he's doing.
Listen, you ascribed me to ISIS, which I didn't butt in, so you finished. So let me speak. This man, brother, this man who carried out the attack, can I say he is the same as the majority of the New Zealand people, the Prime Minister, which we salute?
is the same.
One second. No, they're not the same. Of course not. And you know what? Allah says in the Quran the very same thing. Surah Mumtahina. Allah does not forbid you as regards to those who did not fight you in account of your faith. Like the guy who came and killed
Listen,
this crusader.
did not fight
who came
you.
and- let me finish.
Did not fight you.
Let me finish. Let me speak. I can speak. Yeah?
Yeah?
Okay.
Listen, no.
Insecure.
Because he's trying to play games with people.
Let me finish. Allah does not, listen one second. Allah
Can
does
skip
not,
over the did
Allah
not
does
fight
not
you bit.
forbid you as regards to those who did not fight you on account of your faith and did not expel you from your homes, that you do good to them.
Yeah.
And do justly with
Yeah.
them. Surely Allah loves those who maintain justice. Verse 9, who is it talking about? Bad Christians. Allah forbids you only about those who fought you, killed you in the mosque, yeah, crusader, bang, 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 bang. Yes,
Lies.
yes.
They're not Christians.
From your
He was
home
not a Christian.
and help others in expelling you, that you have friendship with them. All Allah is saying is this. Yeah, and Allah says in a different verse in the Quran, "Laysu sawa." The Christians are not the same. Some of them are close to us. They're good. They worship God Almighty. They're good. And then you have hate preachers.
Yeah, no.
Hate preachers like him. Yeah.
There you go.
Reason
You
why-
see?
I'm
You
finishing.
see?
I'm finishing. Last minute.
Now who'll sue who for defamation?
One last minute. No, you're a hate preacher. I never said you belong to a KKK group. I said you're a hate preacher. You need to understand something. The things that you say on camera have an effect on your
Yes, they
soldiers.
do. So
Just
when you
let me
don't
finish.
condemn
It's my
Hamas,
last minute.
come on then.
I condemned Hamas and anyone, Israel, anyone. It kills innocent people. 1
Yeah.
minute, yeah?
Did you see what I did there?
1 minute, okay. My point is this, you need to understand you have a responsibility.
Yes.
When ISIS fans come here, we tell them, we condemn them, we confront them, and I even get death threats because of them. Why? What did they call me? I'm a murtad. What's a murtad? An apostate. Why? Why?
Ali,
I'm an
Ali,
apostate. Let me
you're
finish.
doing your last minute, bro. Come on.
30
This minute's
seconds.
going on for quite a
30
while.
seconds, yeah?
30 seconds.
So, therefore, you have to prove to me
6
something
minutes,
very clear and categorically. The Quran these bad Muslims, what they're doing, tell me the Quran teaches them to do that. Just the way, because I don't come and say, I know there's good Christians and there's bad Christians, yeah? Bad Christian, good Christians like New Zealand. They have brought hope in humanity. After I saw them.
Okay, Ali, all right, let me reply.
So now-
Let me reply. Ali Dawah's argument is essentially something that no one with any reasonable mind could possibly disagree with. The idea that there are good Muslims and bad Muslims. Totally agree with him. There are. But that isn't my criticism of his position. My criticism of his position is the fact that he has ever so subtly tried to justify terrorism against Israel. He said, notice the Muslims don't want to let me speak. Notice, they don't want to let me speak.
He's not Muslim.
You wanted me to be quiet. So,
To him it does. You see, the Muslims are stopping.
allow me to speak. Right. So guys, he said a number of things in his argument. Number one, he said that the Ottomans didn't kill Christians because they were Christian. He said, guys, I will have my say. I will have my say.
Let him talk.
I will have my say.
150 million
I will have my say, Raj. So,
Fudge, 1 second.
don't be insulting, Ali. Don't be insulting. Don't be rude, Ali.
He deserves it.
No, he doesn't deserve
He
it.
deserves it.
No, he doesn't.
But you're going to make me
Okay, so let's be clear. Ali Dawah said, he quoted a verse in the Quran saying that those that do not fight you, do justice to them. But if you remember earlier in the conversation, he quoted a Muslim leader saying that if we were not successful in conquering your land, we will not do these things. So in other words, if you fight us as we invade your land, then we will do things that are bad to you because you're a bad Christian. But what kind of people would not fight an invading force? The Ottomans invaded Christian lands in Eastern Europe. The Abbasids invaded Christian lands in Spain. And the Christians fought them. And they fought them. Notice the interruption. He wasn't interrupting while Ali was speaking.
He's right. No, don't do that.
So, Ali then went on to say that after the Christians had invaded those lands, that those that fight the Muslims are bad Christians. So in other words, any Christian who defended his family, his village and his children was a bad Christian. The only good Christian to Ali Dawah is a doormat Christian. So, let's look at an example. Let's look at an example of what the Christians did. In the metropolitan of Corinth, Zacharias, a Christian, was executed in 1684. He was accused of maintaining a correspondence with the Venetians. At his trial, Zacharias insisted that he was innocent of the accusation, but the Turkish Ottomans beat him. He was offered pardon on the condition he apostatized and accepted Islam. In other words, we're going to kill you, but if you don't, if you accept Islam, you can live. In any right-thinking mind, that is an attempt at forced conversion. He was offered pardon on the condition that he would apostatize to Islam. When the Metropolitan, that's a Christian way of saying bishop or Christian leader, when the Metropolitan refused, the judge condemned him to death by torture.
Thousands of this park have come to Islam.
The source of Dawah, page 704. There are 15 more neo-martyrs in this category, as long as you did. Stop complaining. The brother behind to go and look at the tens of thousands of Muslims who've embraced Islam in Saudi Arabia. Sorry, Christianity. Yeah. It's been a long day. All I'm saying, to be clear, no, I've got water, thank you. To be clear, no, not really. You endangered 2 innocent families. Don't pretend. Yeah, you're laughing about the fact you endangered 2 innocent. You're laughing about the fact you endangered 2 innocent families. Those families needed police cars outside of their door because of you, and now you're making a joke about it. Don't be fooled by his comedy. He might be funny, but it is just a front.
Only you and your cameraman.
No. To be clear, Ali Dawah is right. There are good Muslims and bad Muslims. But the question that I am posing to all of you is why, over 1400 years of Islamic caliphates, the universal experience of Christians is one of persecution under those Islamic caliphates. Why is it that the bad Muslims, as Ali Dawah would have them, are the ones that always seem to make the rules? I'll tell you why. It's because the rules prescribe the persecution of Christians, as we heard the Orthodox brother say so. Your turn.
It's nearly Monday. Okay. The thing is, what did I ask him, yeah? I said, can you please, because if we both agree there's good Muslims and bad Muslims, good Christians and bad Christians, then everything that you're quoting is like me coming and saying, the Christians in Africa, Lord's Resistance Army came and killed 300 Muslims, the KKK, the Crusaders, this person, that person. You know why I don't do that? This is the difference between me and you. You know why? Because I know that battles happen between the Christians and the Jews. I mean the Christians and the Muslims, yeah? So my argument is this. Listen carefully, guys. Look at the difference between him and me. Have you heard me quote, these Christians in history did this?
I didn't say these Muslims.
1 second, let me finish.
I said Islam.
Let me finish.
Don't misrepresent me.
Have you heard me say...
Don't misrepresent me.
Okay, sorry.
I talked about Islam.
No problem, you clarified it.
We've already agreed there are good Muslims and bad Muslims. There's no argument there.
So now, look, he doesn't realise his point is defeated. He doesn't
Not
understand,
really.
yeah? Listen to me, yeah? Okay. Guys, please. I'm trying to concentrate here, yeah? Concentration levels are low today, yeah? Listen to what I'm saying. Look at the difference between me and him, yeah? And look, this is an end point. If I want, I could come and say the Christians have done, the Crusaders, yeah? They were slaughtering men, women, children like it's happy days. But I would never ascribe that to Christianity. You know why? Because if I did, I'm responsible. You know why? Because I know there's emotional, young, naive, silly Muslims who ascribe to ISIS who will come and say, yes, they did this to our brothers and sisters. This is what happened in Iraq. We have to go and do the same to them. I am responsible. You know why? Because just as the New Zealand shooter, he's claimed to be a Christian, but he's got nothing to do with Christianity.
He didn't claim to be a Christian. You lied again. Perfect. He did not claim to be a Christian. Because you're lying, Ali.
My point. I didn't stop you.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Yeah. Until the camera's stop getting a panic attack. Yeah?
You're lying, Ali.
Listen now.
You never claimed to be a Christian.
Let me. You see how it hurts them, yeah? But you know why I say?
Lying. My God.
You know why I say? I say Christianity is free from that. Why? Because if I don't do that, I have a responsibility on my shoulders. I don't go and do that. You know why? Because I can come and say 1 Samuel chapter 15 verse 2 to 3, go to the Amalekites, this is ethics of war. Kill men, women, children, babies and donkey. What did the donkey do? I can come and say that. I can say that. It is a joke. It is a big joke. But I don't come and say this crusading evil animal.
You're lying. That's exactly what you've done in the corner. He has used exactly that argument.
Let me finish.
He's used exactly that argument at the corner.
Part 2.
He has used exactly that argument at the corner. You're lying. That's exactly what you've done
I'm
here.
lying, people see it. Now,
Yeah, they will.
let me see.
We'll do a castback.
I didn't come and say he must have read this verse and therefore carry out this attacks. We both agree. Do you not understand, Bob, how silly you're looking?
Not really.
We both agree, bad and good Muslims, bad and good Christians.
Yes.
Everything that you're quoting.
So the argument's not about that, is it?
Let me finish.
So the argument's not about that.
Let me finish.
We're not talking about that. You're
Let
creating
me
a false.
finish.
Stop
Let me
playing the
finish.
victim.
Let me finish.
Stop playing the
Let
victim.
me finish.
Stop playing the victim.
You know why he's hurt? You
No,
know why
he's playing the
hurt?
victim. He's playing the victim.
Yeah, I'm the victim. Now, the point is this: if we agree on that premise, then the point is the following: bad Muslims do bad stuff. Bad Christians do bad stuff.
But your
In New
premise
Zealand,
is based on the lie.
In New Zealand, they do bad stuff. Yeah.
If you want a Christian, then you have no premise.
I asked him something very simple. Yeah. I said to him the following: show me where in the Quran it says that you either accept Islam or we kill you. That should be so easy. When I went to Tommy Robinson, yeah, the guy crybaby who knocks on everybody's door, but when somebody comes to confront him, starts crying, yeah, he couldn't answer it. One, show me a verse that tells us Muslims you have to go to the Christians and the Jews, the Christians and the Jews and get the sword and say, Bob, accept Islam or we're going to kill you. Show me. Show me. Show me. I'll give you 1 second.
Al-Muslim and Hadith al-Bukhari?
No, that's talking about the Arab Peninsula.
They said to go to the polytheists, and if the polytheists don't convert to Islam, they have to be killed.
No.
People of the books
No.
can pay the jizya tax.
Sir, let me speak.
Right?
So therefore, if we both agree on that, what on earth are we debating about?
May I reply?
Just finish.
Okay, yeah.
Because you've cut me 4 or 5 times.
Oh, don't play the victim, Ali.
No, you have.
Yeah, I know you do. That's what. Whenever the Dawah team, whenever they're embarrassed about their hadiths, they always throw them away. I'm gonna show him one of his own sources, and he'll throw it under the bin.
Look, you quoted a look. He quoted a source.
I don't have religion, but
Sir, I'm
if there were no
speaking.
hadiths, Islam would probably be more.
No.
Yeah, I agree with you. I actually agree with you.
Alhamdulillah, we're proud of our hadiths.
Including the ones that say kill people who choose to become Christians. Are you proud of that one? Are you proud of that one, Ali?
Can I?
Are you proud of the one that says kill apostates?
Can I finish? Okay,
Yeah.
he's talking about apostasy. This guy's a joke. In your book it says kill apostasy.
Doesn't show it me.
Oh my God! Anyway, I've been look. 1, 2, 3. Let me speak. Guys, be honest.
He's playing the victim. But what you don't know is Ali Dawah comes here every week, and this is how he behaves all the time. He does this to other people all the time. His audience specifically is you
Can I
two.
finish? Oh my gosh!
Ali,
Guys, let
finish.
me finish.
Well, hurry up then.
How could you let me finish when you keep butting in? Now, I'm asking something.
They have.
Brothers, please.
They have.
Brother, you're not helping.
There are thousands of Christians
Brother, you're not
in Saudi
helping.
Arabia who have converted, and they have to live in secrecy because the Arab government will kill them if they are public about changing their faith.
Now, one thing. Let me finish. Yeah.
Yeah, finish.
This is a treaty. This dismantles. Finished. After this, I don't think you should come to the park anymore. Treaty of Najran with the Christians. After I read this, I'm done. I don't even need to reply anymore. The lives of the people of Najran and its surrounding area, they're Christians. Their religion, listen. Please, I've got talent here. Their religion, their land, their property, cattle, and those of them who are present or absent, their messengers, and their places of worship, churches, and are under the protection of who?
What verse is that?
Allah and His Messenger.
The Treaty of Najran.
Their present state shall neither be interfered with, nor their rights meddled with, nor their idols deformed. Can you imagine? Idols, you cannot touch them. No bishop should be removed from his office. The intention being that no changes will in whatever state that everyone is in shall be made. Status quo shall be maintained. This is for the Christians.
What's the source of
Can
that?
you please tell me? Sorry.
What's the source? What's the source?
That when they live in under the
What's the
Islamic
source?
rule,
It's
then
the
we
Treaty
cannot
of
touch
Najran.
churches, we cannot touch. You have a right to live in your own land. Yeah? That's a treaty. Now I'm asking a simple question. I'm finishing. Please
Come on, Alex.
show me a single verse that says you have to force the Christians and the Jews to Islam, if not kill them. If you don't, you're a liar.
Okay, so let me reply to that argument. Let me reply to that argument. Yeah. Let me reply to that
Can I take
argument.
some pictures? 1 second.
Yeah. Let me reply to that argument. Because Ali Dawah is creating a false dichotomy. He's creating a straw man.
The cameraman, look, the
He's
cameraman.
creating a straw man. Notice he's interrupting. Yeah. So, Ali Dawah is creating a false dichotomy. He's trying to say that I need to show him where the Quran says kill people if they don't become Muslim. That is not my argument. That is not my argument. That is his straw man. Wait 1 second. Wait 1 second. Let me quote to him a different treaty. 1 second. 1 second, bro. Let me quote to him a different treaty. The Pact of Umar, which says this: do not initiate the salam to the Jews and Christians. This is Ibn Kathir,
Big scholar.
a big scholar of Islam. And if you meet any of them in a road, force them to the nearest alley. This is why the leader of the faithful, Umar bin al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, which is what he's just said. Listen to the next bit. Demanded, just bear in mind his praise for this man, demanded his well-known conditions be met by the by the Christians. These conditions that ensured their continued humiliation, degradation, and disgrace.
Perfect.
No, Ali Dawah is 1 second. 1 second. 1 second.
We want to listen to
Ali Dawah is absolutely right to say there are good Muslims and good and bad Muslims. He's right. I totally agree.
Yes.
But what we disagree about is the definition of a good Muslim and a bad one. Because a good Muslim ignores Sharia law, ignores the Prophet, and ignores the teachings of Islam, and a bad one applies it.
Perfect.
And that means the degradation, humiliation, and persecution of Christians. Now, he read from the Pact of Najran. Do you all remember that the Pact of Najran said that the bishops should not be removed from their offices? Well, it would seem, ladies and gentlemen, that that message never got through because they regularly interfered with the appointments of bishops, and they would kill bishops who were not compliant enough to Islamic rule, as we saw with the example of the Metropolitan of Corinth. Now, despite the fact that Ali has tried to libel me as a hate preacher, all I am speaking about is the experience that we Christians have had under Islamic rule.
Can I just say something?
That is fair,
As a Christian myself,
that is legitimate, and that is just. 1 second, 1 second, 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. Notice, 1 second. It is fair. It is fair.
You believe what Crusaders did?
Yeah, I know that. I heard him.
It is fair.
He supports what they did.
It is fair that as Christians we can speak about our own history and about our own experiences of Islamic rule. That is not hate speech. That is just knowing what happened in history. If Ali Dawah finds that uncomfortable, perhaps it's time he finds a better God. Because Christians were persecuted not by good Muslims. They were persecuted by the bad Muslims, inspired by the Hadiths and by the Quran. And Christianity, by comparison, offers something different. It says that every man, that's all of you here, and even Ali Dawah, has a dignity given to him by God, that he is made in the image of God, and that image is made and gives him dignity apart from his race, apart from his class, apart from his religion. It belongs to him because he is a human being, which means that if I honor the image of God in every human that I meet, then I also honor it in Ali Dawah. By contrast, Islam has no such equivalent concept, which is why in Islam Christians can be humiliated. Remember, he praised the Muslim ruler. He praised him who commanded that Christians should be humiliated, degraded, and persecuted. He praised him. Don't be fooled by the humour. Now, he said he didn't want to reply, but he obviously does. There you go.
Okay, so like I said before, was you guys listening? What was my last sentence to him? Can you produce a single verse in the Quran, in the Hadith, in the Islamic literature?
Straw man.
Yeah? Call it a straw,
It is
a
a straw man.
strawberry,
It's a
a
straw man.
blueberry,
It's
a
a straw man.
raspberry,
It's not my
whichever berry
critique.
you like.
That's not my critique.
Did I stop him when he was talking?
No, fair enough, go on.
Okay, now, I asked him a simple question. This is the same question I asked Tommy Robinson when he started crying. You claim there's 113 verses in the Quran that says, kill the infidel wherever you find it. Okay, good. Can you show me a single verse in the Quran, the Hadith, the entire Islamic literature that says, you go to the Christians and the Jews and say, accept Islam or we will kill you? Did he bring the verse?
No, I didn't, because that's not my argument.
Have you brothers lost your tongue?
It's not my argument.
Brothers, did he bring the verse?
It's not my argument. Why would I bring an argument? Why would I bring a verse to something that's not my
Did I stop you
argument?
when he was talking?
It's not my argument.
Did I stop you when he was
Straw
talking?
man.
Let me talk.
No, you just
And
let
you
him
come
hang
back,
himself.
You better upload this video.
Let him
Don't
hang
worry.
himself.
Going on
You
something
better
I
upload
can't
this,
wait
yeah?
for.
Now,
Stay
yeah?
on topic.
Okay. If he didn't bring that verse, if you came and said to me, Ali, you claim to know how a Ferrari works. Show me this. If I don't, I'm a liar. You did not bring a single verse. What that shows is you're in the same category as Tommy Robinson, a hate preacher. Now, he quoted Umar ibn Khattab, and Umar ibn Khattab said, whenever you see the Jews, it's not about the Christians, the Jews, if they're walking, like push them to the wall. Now, when you hear this, and he goes, I praise them. Of course, I'm going to praise Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu. Why? Which Jews are we talking about here? Which Jews are we talking about here? Are you talking about the Jews who broke the treaty and tried to kill the Prophet in 3 attempts, assassinating him? And you're telling me, let me get this right. They tried to assassinate the Prophet. They break the treaty. Yeah? They commit treason and take the side of the pagans.
Apologies for Islamization.
And what's he upset about? Umar ibn Khattab said, when you're walking past the Jew, this evil Jew, push him towards the wall. Can you imagine this, guys? Imagine this, yeah?
Go back to that bit.
If somebody came to kill your family members and tried to assassinate you 3 times, and I said to you, when you see him, barge him.
No, the Pact of Umar.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Someone's gonna come and try to kill your family, and in return, barge him. And he thinks, oh, I made such a sick point. Fam, you're making points with no context. That's why you're getting dismantled. Bang, 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 you're getting on the floor.
And you're saying this is the reason 11.
Oh, you're back now.
And you're saying this is the reason 11.
Let me finish.
Alright,
Let me finish.
he's just hung himself, bro. He's
Let me
just hung
finish.
himself.
Let me finish.
He's just hung himself.
Let me finish, yeah? Let me finish. Very simple and clear. You did not bring a single verse. You can't bring it because it doesn't exist. You accepted there's bad Muslims and good Muslims, bad Christians and good Christians, yeah? Then that's my argument. Good Christians do good stuff, bad Christians do New Zealand. Good Muslims do good stuff, bad Muslims do run the bridge. Simple as. I don't even need to carry on. Go to Surah Mumtahina verse 8. Finish. Go to Surah. No problem. Go to Surah Tawbah verse 13. Allah says in the Quran, indeed it was them who attacked you first. Go to Surah Buruj verse 7. Allah says we saw what they were doing with the believers. And listen, doesn't New Zealand come into your mind? Allah says in Surah Buruj, we saw what they were doing with the believers. They killed them for no other reason but they said, La ilaha illallah.
So, can I reply, Ali?
Preaching.
Can I reply? So, notice Ali said, he said that the bit about barging people into the road was about Jews. That's what he said, and particular Jews who had tried to kill Muhammad. Let's actually read it again, because he just lied to you. This is what it says. Do not initiate the salam to the Jews and Christians. And if you meet any of them, i.e. Jews and Christians, in the road, force them to the narrowest way.
What did the Christians do?
So, he lied. What did the Christians do? Nothing. In other words, what he's saying is, if you fight Muslim Islamist attempts to conquer your land, that is why we should persecute you. But listen, the man that he praised, remember, Umar bin al-Khattab. There you go, just on cue. Right? This is what he demanded. He demanded this, that Christians should be humiliated, degraded and disgraced.
The bad ones, yes.
Let's look at what that means. Okay? We made a condition on ourselves that we will neither erect in our areas a monastery, church, or a sanctuary for a monk, nor restore any place of worship that needs restoration. So Christians under Muslim rule couldn't even repair their building.
Bad ones. No,
Yeah?
he's inserting the bad ones.
He's inserting the bad ones, but the fact of the matter is, the pact just says Christians. That's what it says. Let's read some more. Let's read some more. Restoration. For the purpose of enmity against Muslims, we will not prevent any Muslim from resting in our churches, whether they come by day or night. So in other words, if a Muslim was to come to a church, the Christian had to get up and open the door. Do you think a Christian had the same right to demand that of the imam from the mosque? No way.
Perfect.
Furthermore, our houses of worship for wayfarers, passers-by, those Muslims who come as guests will enjoy boarding and food for 3 days. So he's telling Christians that they have to host Muslims. Notice the lack of a reciprocal law.
Well, what would Jesus do?
More so.
What would Jesus do?
More so, we will not allow a spy against Muslims into our churches, homes, or hide deceit or betrayal against Muslims. We will not teach our children the Quran, publicize or practice shirk. Now that's important, because Christians believe in one God, but Muslims falsely accuse us of shirk, the belief in 3 gods. So in other words, he's saying that we Christians can't have any public displays of our faith in a Muslim ruled area. We will not.
This is from Ibn Kathir.
Listen, this is Ibn Kathir.
Name finish.
This is why Christians were persecuted in every Islamic caliphate from the time of Muhammad to ISIS, and every caliphate in between. 1400 years. No, I'm still reading. We will not imitate their clothing, i.e. Christians could not dress as Muslims.
No, Muslims don't dress as Christians. What are you talking about?
We will not dress, we will not imitate their clothing. Caps, turbans, sandals, hairstyles, speech, nicknames, titles, or ride on saddles, hang swords on the shoulders. So a Christian, in a time when everyone rode on a saddle, Christians had to ride bareback. That's like me saying that Muslims can't drive cars, they can only use bicycles.
Perfect.
How is that not Christophobia?
Would you give ISIS a car?
This is a man. This is a man. This is a man that praises the person that wrote these rules. He praises him. That's who we're talking to.
What would Muslims say?
Not yet. Not yet.
I mean, that's just terrible. That's just terrible.
No, let me finish.
That's just terrible.
1 second.
We will not
How
yet.
many Christians are
I've been listening to him.
No,
Can I
listen.
speak? I finished in 2 minutes. Let me speak.
No.
You've been going for 5 minutes.
No, I'm going
Okay.
I'm just
Kafir's
showing.
got a lot to say.
How long?
Right, I'll finish up then. One more example. I'll finish up and then Ali can reply. So, last point. Last example of what Muslims have applied to their faith. Yeah? So despite Ali Dawah saying he had no reason to reply, that the argument was sealed, he's embarrassed by his text, and that's why he's still here trying to legitimize the persecution of Christians. Christians will have the front of their hair cut, not wear customary clothes wherever we are. They will wear belts around their waist and refrain from erecting crosses on the outside of our churches, which is our custom as Christians. So we couldn't even have our customs. And we had to wear belts to distinguish us as Christians, so everyone could recognize us as Christians. Like the Nazis made the Jews wear stars so everyone could see that they were Jews. Now, be clear.
When are you going to finish?
Soon. Be clear. Last minute.
Alhamdulillah.
Last minute. To be clear, guys, Ali Dawah is right. There are good Muslims and bad Muslims. But my criticism of Islam is a criticism of the ideology, not of Muslims as a whole. Did you get that? And I am not arguing that Islam teaches if you don't convert to Islam we'll kill you. That's not my argument. So him demanding proof to an argument I've not made is a straw man. My argument is that Islam has led to the persecution of 1400 years because of the teachings that I have just read out to you. From a man he praised. Case closed.
Okay. This is my
No, it isn't. It's rising.
Guys, please. Yeah, let's respect.
It corresponds to the same rate at which the human race is growing. Get your facts right.
You're scaring me when you do that. Okay. Guys, I want you guys to listen very carefully, yeah? Please, listen very carefully. I repeated it before I repeat it again, yeah? He's quoting Umar ibn Khattab, yeah?
The man you praised.
Radiyallahu an. May Allah be pleased with him. How could Allah not be pleased with someone like him? Yeah? Justice. Now, I'm going to ask you guys a very simple question. Please engage with me, yeah? Okay, here, brother. Please, look here.
I wonder why I picked the man most likely to agree with him.
Okay, now. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Allah says in the Quran, speak the truth even if it's against yourself. If I see Muhammad Hijab doing something wrong to Bob, I will say, Hijab, you're my brother, I love you, but you're wrong. This is what religion teaches. If I came...
He's a great showman, isn't he?
If I came and persecuted your mom, I killed your sister, I tried to assassinate you 3 times. And then my dad said, when you walk past, what's your name? Bilal, can I have you come stand here for a second? My dad said, when you walk past Bilal, barge him. Is what I'm doing wrong, bad or good?
Bad. It's bad. It's bad.
It's bad.
Bad.
After he's killed my mum, my sister, me barging him is wrong. Are you mad?
Well, that's
Are
childish.
you mad?
It's generic. Because
Except
if
Ali
someone
Dawah
says Muslims,
Yeah,
they'll
check
say
this
he's
out,
classifying.
check this out.
They never made it specific.
Guys,
They never made it specific. Show me in the pack where they made it specific.
Guys,
Where was it
Show me in the
specific?
pack where he made
Where
it
was it
specific.
specific?
Where was it specific?
Made up story.
brothers, if I trust this guy, he would do an uppercut, let alone kill his family. Then, do you know what the Prophet ﷺ and his companions went through? Yes, forget self-defense, barge. Somebody that kills your mum and your dad, would you barge him or would you want revenge?
So where does it say specifically? Where does it differentiate between the two?
Okay,
Where does it differentiate between the two?
So 1 second.
It doesn't.
Surah Mumtahina.
Show us where the pack.
The
Show
pack
us where the
doesn't say
pack
that.
differentiates.
The pack doesn't say that.
Why is it when I talk you guys 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
You all heckle me. All the Muslims in the crowd heckle me.
I'll interrupt you once.
No,
Well,
no,
I'd say it if you want. I didn't say
So
nothing.
now,
The Bible tells us to let God have the vengeance. Alright?
now, guys,
Allow God to
guys,
have the vengeance.
wallahi, look at this. Hello.
He's trying to say, look how light it's not that deep. He's taking it out that deep.
Thank you.
It is nonsense.
Thank you.
It's nonsense.
Thank you. Look at it.
Because this is an apologist
Guys.
argument.
Yes or no?
He's trying to ignore the fact
taking
that
sides.
Why are they not letting me
Ottomans,
talk?
the Ottomans did this to
Why are you not letting me
Let
talk?
talk. You've had your time.
Why are you not
Let
letting me
talk.
talk? I don't understand. I listened to you for 5 minutes. My ears are
Like a
hurting.
grown up.
That's it, let talk, man.
Now,
Like a grown up.
Yellow card.
Now, listen to this, guys. Listen to this, yeah? Listen to this, yeah? Look at Allah Akbar. Look at this, yeah? I was looking for this verse, and it popped out, yeah? Umar ibn Khattab. The same Umar ibn Khattab that he's talking about, yeah? He hated the Jews. Killed them. Watch this. Umar was passing along the house when he saw an old, you're going to need your water, don't put it away. Blind man begging. Umar touched the old man and asked him whether he was a Christian or a Jew. Are you listening, paper boys? You got a lot of paper to give out today. The man said that he was. The man he said he was Jewish. What did Umar ibn Khattab do? Push him, kick him, kill him? The old blind man further said that he begged in the day so he could provide himself the daily needs for his food and pay the jizya. So,
What was
the
that?
jizya is something. What's that? Jizya is something that is given.
Can you repeat
If you don't pay the jizya, what happens?
Yeah, what happens
He
if you
begged in
don't
the
pay the
day
jizya?
so he could provide himself the daily needs for his
What
food
happens
and
if
to
you don't pay the jizya?
Yeah.
To pay the jizya.
The following verse you're gonna find out.
Keep going.
Just make
Keep
sure you
going.
stay here.
Pay the jizya.
Because we have the war of the apostates.
What's this
They
now?
want
You're saying it. You're not ashamed. Yeah, but the jizya is a tax on non-believers, and you're not ashamed to
Can
say.
I finish? Can I finish?
Just imagine if we did that here.
Listen carefully, yeah? This is Umar ibn Khattab, the same Umar ibn Khattab that he said, you know, boogeyman. To which of the people of the book do you belong to? He said, I am a Jew, responded the blind man. Umar took him by the hand. Oh damn, I think he's gonna kill him. Led him to his own house. Oh, it's gonna happen in his own house. He's gonna die in his own house. Gave him something. Oh no, this was the sword. Food. Okay,
Poison.
One second. It can be. It can be. Okay. And then sent him to the keeper of the treasury with this message. Listen carefully. After this, it's night, brother.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is. I'm calling janazah.
Keep going. Keep going.
Sent to the keeper of the treasure with this message. See to this man and his life, for we have not done right if we devour their youth and neglect their old age. The religious taxes for the poor and the needy. The poor are the Muslims. You see how he's sniffing? Yeah, you're gonna sniff more, yeah?
Keep going.
The poor are the Muslims.
Great comedy, but
Okay.
it's not an argument.
This man is one of the needy of the people of the book, Christians and Jews. He freed the man from the obligation to pay jizya, because jizya is only paid for the fighting men and women. And I'm not finished. This is the beginning.
That's a lie, bro.
That's
a lie.
Yeah. It's a lie, yeah? Kitab al-Kharaj by Abu Yusuf Yaqub, page 71. You see how I call that Zakir Naik as well? Okay, now, I want to say something very simple and very clear, yeah? I asked him a simple verse. Give me a verse where it says, Christians and Jews. You don't accept Islam, we're going to slaughter you.
Not my argument.
No, 1 second.
No,
I never said that.
I never said that.
Straw man again.
Straw man.
He kept saying the same thing.
It's a panic attack. Yeah?
No,
We're talking about the subjugation of the Christians, not killing them.
We're not panicking. We're not panicking.
We're talking about the subjugation.
We're not panicking. We just want to make sure that everyone understands who's making a straw man. That's all we're doing.
I quoted from a rabbi who lived in the Islamic State, who was paying jizya. He's saying, I have not lived anywhere else that
Could he have said anything
1
different?
second.
Could he have said anything different?
It hurts you, fam. It hurts you. It's poking
No, it doesn't.
you. Ali Dawah is poking you.
Not really.
You don't like it. Listen. So therefore, very simple, yeah? The Muslims, the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his companions have been persecuted for 13 years. After that, see? No, 1 second. You see why you just said that? This is what the New Zealand
This was a man.
This is why the New Zealand
Muhammad
Muslims
was a man who attacked the Meccans.
Exactly.
That's what happened.
Exactly.
He attacked the culture. He attacked their beliefs. He attacked them.
No, listen.
When he fled to Medina, he attacked the Meccans.
No, he caught me again, yeah? Look at this. I replied to him, Surah Hajj verse 39.
Can a Christian go to Mecca?
No, 1 second.
Ali.
No, he can't. And your point is? Paperboy, please, man.
Subjugation.
Paperboy, not your day today.
So you go.
Imagine if we said Muslims couldn't come to London.
Exactly.
Would you accept that?
Why they not letting me talk?
You see?
I listened to you for 10 minutes.
Your yellow card.
Okay, now. Surah Hajj, verse 39 and 40, was revealed after 13 years of persecution by the Meccans. And what does it say? Listen carefully. Yeah? Permission to fight has been given to those who are being fought because they were wrong, and indeed Allah is competent to give them victory. Abdullah ibn Abbas added, when Allah revealed this, leave is given to those against whom war is made because of they have been wrong. Abu Bakr said, this means that now we can defend ourselves. After 13 years, after persecution, not only that, Surah Tabuk, the Christian Roman armies coming to invade the Arabian Peninsula. You have the Jews, they didn't. So, Sahib, go to Bukhari.
You're talking rubbish,
Bukhari.
Yes.
The only rubbish coming out your mouth.
Yes.
You're talking rubbish, bro.
Yeah? Now, go to Bukhari. Umar ibn Khattab comes, one day his door's been knocked, and he runs down. Why are you stopping me from talking? Because you don't know what you're talking about.
You've lost me.
Yeah, of course you lost.
You have to listen.
May Allah guide you.
You're losing. Tell me what you have to listen to you, sir.
He's a troublemaker. He's hanging himself.
So now,
Go on, Ali, wrap it up.
very simple, yeah? Okay, you could not bring the verse. That is exactly...
I said Muhammad. I got no sympathy for that.
That is exactly what the New Zealand shooter did. He said, who
There he
gives a
goes
damn about
again,
these Muslims?
trying to blame
Not
us
all
for
of
the
them.
New Zealand
Yeah?
killing.
And brothers and sisters, very simple, very clear. You can never ever bring a verse that says we are forced to by compulsion. You have to come and embrace
That
Islam.
was never my argument.
You know, there's only one
Straw
thing.
man again.
Let me tell you
Straw
something.
man.
I'm gonna
Keep
help
saying the same thing. It's not.
I'm gonna help you.
Looking ridiculous.
You know how I'm gonna help you?
Straw man.
Surah Baqarah,
Not my
verse
argument.
256.
I've never
Yeah?
made that argument. That's not the argument I've just
Let's
spent the
go
last
through
hour
it.
making.
Look, watch this now, guys. We're gonna
You're
go through
arguing against yourself, Ali. I've never made that argument.
Surah Baqarah
Ali Dawah is arguing
My mum
against
said about
himself
10 times
because he
that's
doesn't
fine.
want to deal with my argument.
No problem.
He doesn't want to deal with my argument, so he's making up his own.
Just make
Come
sure.
on, we gave you your
Just
time.
make sure this.
But he told him that's not his point.
Just
And he's
make
still
sure.
repeating the same thing.
Just make sure this video comes out. That's all I want. Nothing else.
It will definitely come out. We're happy. We're happy.
Guys, make sure this guy.
What would you like the title to be?
Now, Surah Baqarah, yeah? There is no compulsion in faith. The correct way is to become the sinful.
He's hung himself, then he said it.
There is no compulsion in faith. Do you know what this is talking? I'm going to help you guys here. Yeah, take it from me. What the Muslims can do is the following. We can force you to put your arms down. The guns that you're carrying. Go to Surah Baqarah 256 and check the Tafsir Ibn Kathir.
As they invade our lands.
1 second. You know what it says? You are not allowed to force anyone to accept Islam.
No one
but you
said
can
that.
But you can force
Never made
them
that argument.
to put their arms down. Hold on a
As
second.
they invade your
Let me
lands.
finish, man.
As they
Hell,
invade your
you're
lands.
so hurt by my words, it's mad.
No, I'm just making sure people know the spin that you're putting on this.
Perfect. China, verse 8, not abrogated, I need to prove it. قل هاتوا برهانكم إن كنتم صادقين. If you truly bring it.
Do you want to
I'm
wrap
finished.
up?
I'm finished.
Do you want to wrap
Allah
up?
does not forbid you from being just and kind to those who did not fight you on account of your faith. Allah only forbids you to. Allah encourages you to fight those. You know the New Zealand
Who
attacker?
fight you?
If I was in the mosque and I had a gun,
So
I'd
everyone in
fire him
North
back.
Africa was fighting the
Nine.
Muslims.
So, right, notice Ali Dawah's running away. Notice he's running away.
Running away.
So, let me reply. It's all right. Let me reply to Ali Dawah's argument. Let me reply to Ali Dawah's argument. Let me reply to Ali Dawah's argument. Because the reason why he didn't want to stay for the answer and the response is because he knows that he's going to be contradicted. Pablo Escobar was the kind of man that would go down the street and see someone who is poor. He would get out of the car and then he would build them a house. A bit like Ibn Kathir saw the blind Jew and did something kind. But Pablo Escobar was also the kind of man that would walk down the street and if you looked at him the wrong way, he'd have your family shot dead. Just because you do something kind doesn't mean that you are. Just because Ibn Kathir did something kind doesn't mean that he didn't stand for something reprehensible. He creates a straw man argument. Ali Dawah kept saying, show me the verse where it says, become Muslim or we'll kill you. At no point in the last hour did I ever make that argument. Ali Dawah was so beat by my argument that he had to run away and argue with himself about a position that I'd never made.
Chapter 9,
One
verse
second.
29, fight
One
those
second.
who don't believe in Allah.
Yeah. So, yeah, right? However, all of these nice things that Ali Dawah quoted, it seems that Muslims, for whatever reason, down through 1400 years of history, never got the memo. Because Muslims, caliphates, have persecuted Christians for 1400 years. So, Ali Dawah may be able to quote something nice, but for whatever reason, Muslim caliphs did not seem to think that that should apply to them. Now, by comparison, we Christians offer a different alternative. We offer a belief that every man is made in the image of God, which means that that killing of those Muslims in New Zealand was a crime, a hateful crime. But let's be honest, it was motivated by racism. It was not motivated by Christianity, as Ali Dawah disingenuously tried to imply.
Perfect.
Shame. Shame on him. For 1 hour, Ali Dawah tried to imply that that man was a Christian when he openly identified as something else.
As what?
As a nationalist, an ethno-nationalist.
I mean, one
A
doesn't
neo-pagan.
cancel
1
the
second,
other.
bro. 1 second. 1 second. Christians were butchered in Nigeria on the 11th of March. 120 Nigerian Christians were both butchered by Fulani Muslims and by Boko Haram. Two different Muslim groups, both killed Christians, and you heard nothing about it. Why is it wrong for me to speak up for my brothers and sisters and to speak against an ideology that would make me a second-class citizen? Why is it wrong for me to speak against an ideology that would lead to my persecution as a Christian? He said that Muslims are commanded to fight those who fight them. But he glossed over the fact that Muslims are invading the lands of others historically.
Who let them in?
So in other words, it's your fault for fighting us as we invade your land. Ali Dawah condemned ISIS, but he praised the Ottoman Caliphate. Go and look up what the Ottoman Caliphate did to the Christians in Eastern Europe. And ask yourself, was it any different to ISIS? So why was it wrong when ISIS does it in Syria and Iraq?
Israel created Al-Qaeda.
We're not interested in your anti-Semitism.
Ask him who.
We're not interested in your anti-Semitism. One second, no, 1 second. And then finish your point.
He's mind control.
He's not. He's an anti-Semite. He's an anti-Semite.
They ain't even from Semites.
Blaming Jews in Israel for the creation of ISIS is anti-Semitism. He's an anti-Semite.
You're brainwashed.
So,
why is he an anti-Semite?
1 second.
Why am I an anti-Semite?
1 second. Again, I am going to finish my point. I'm going to finish my point.
Exposing this is
I'm
anti-Semitism.
going to finish my point.
It's against the law.
I urge you to go and investigate what happened to the Christians under the Ottoman Empire and compare it to the behavior of ISIS and see if those behaviors are different or the same. And if you see a correlation between the two, remember that Ali Dawah praised the Ottomans. Remember that. Every Islamic caliphate has led to the persecution of Christians. And it is high time that we Christians spoke up about that fact. It's high time that Christians spoke about our own history and our own experience of history and challenged the narrative that is pushed by the likes of Ali Dawah, because it is a lie. And there is nothing wrong with Christians standing up to an ideology that would persecute us, just like it would never be wrong for the black community to stand up against white supremacism, because it would lead to their persecution. If it's not wrong to stand against injustice, it isn't wrong to stand against Islamic supremacism. Ali Dawah might be funny, but he is apologizing. He is apologizing for the persecution of Christians and trying to rationalize it. And anyone who stands up to him, he wants to deride, as we heard as a hate preacher. And that's because in Ali Dawah's eyes, notice I said Ali Dawah, not all Muslims. In Ali Dawah's eyes, the only good Christian is a doormat that won't do anything to stop an aggressive form of Islam. He wants us to be dhimmis, and I say that is not the way of the Christian. We're not called to be dhimmis. We're called to be more than conquerors. That's what we're called to be. We're called to be followers of the Christ. That's what we're called to be.
More than conquerors, what do you mean by that?
And Christ does not call us to be dhimmis. The Quran calls us to be dhimmis. We should simply refuse the invitation. And in Ali Dawah's eyes, that means resisting Islamization. So that means, by his logic, by the argument he marshalled, it is right to fight you. Don't be fooled by his comedy. He's not a comedian. He represents something very dark indeed. Bro, I've got to go, but go on, make your point. I've got to go.
No, I wanted to give the example of the Janissaries.
Go, give it, please give it.
The Janissaries were slave soldiers. That
Shout
were
it
taken,
to those people at the back.
You know, the Janissaries were slave soldiers that were taken from the boys of the Christian countries that the Turkish Empire raided. With the Tatars, you know, with the Crimean Tatars. They raided them, they took the young boys, and they turned them into soldiers. Incredibly strong and incredibly zealous soldiers that would protect the Sultan at all costs.
Can I give you a more modern version of the Janissaries? One of the things that was upsetting with the New Zealand scene is that in between the last week, 280 Christians, 30 Chadian soldiers were killed yesterday by Boko Haram and the Fulani militants. Now what they do is that they kidnap 500 children as well, which people are not aware of. And some of these children they're forced to kill their own parents. And they've become a new modern jihadist movement, or whatever.
So they're doing. So no one's interested in a racist. You're an anti-Semite. I don't want to talk to you. You're an anti-Semite. I don't want to talk to you.
We're trying to cover modern.
We're talking about the persecution of Muslims. Don't kidnap this. We're talking about something much more serious than your silly conspiracy theory.
So you talk
your silly conspiracy.
You're a paid liar.
You talk to the camera. I'm going to stand here.
You talked about the Janissaries that existed at quite a number of centuries ago, but I'm talking about something that's existed in the last few weeks. Like children have been kidnapped to be making a new wing of jihadi that they killed.
Let me
their
ask
parents.
you a question, because you're speaking about something that happened centuries ago under the Ottoman Empire, by Muslims centuries ago, and you're speaking about something that is happening in Nigeria whilst we're all talking about it.
Yes.
We're talking about
Why do you think, one second, why do you, don't give him attention, why do you think, why do you think that, what do you think unites Nigerian Fulani and Boko Haram to Ottoman Turks? Bearing in mind they're different ethnicities, they lived in different times, and they were operating in completely different theatres.
They're following the culture of jihad, of modern jihad. That's what they're following. They're living the life of the Prophet.
But Israel did 9/11. You're living in a lie. You're all fucking liars.
We're not talking about 9/11.
Sometimes when we're having intellectual, we're talking about things that you can check on the news.
We're talking about the kidnap of Christian
500 children last week.
And where was the media coverage?
There was no media. 75 children escaped. Only 75 children escaped because, fortunately, one of the people that was kidnapped took a weapon off one of the jihadist assailants and killed his kidnappers, and 75 children escaped out of 500. Just go and Google it, please. We're not here to be interrupted with unintelligent conversation about something as serious. 280 people are in the grave, so it's better we focus on the lives. I'm not into the Illuminati talk, that is nonsense. We need to talk about things that we can verify with facts on the media. So 500 children were kidnapped, but it didn't make the news. We are all sad that 51 people were murdered in a mosque. That is wrong. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. To kill people that are innocent going to prayer is wrong. But we must condemn any kind of killing. And we cannot, as human beings, be happy that 500 children are kidnapped by jihadists, Fulani jihadists. So where is the media? Why don't the leaders, why don't the leaders in the Western world also walk in solidarity? We've seen the New Zealand minister wearing a hijab to showing solidarity with the Muslims.
So where's the conversation about the Christophobia?
Oh, we don't hear this.
Where is the discussion in our political narrative about the prejudice that is directed towards Christians on a daily basis?
Because let me tell you, we have a lot of people complaining about Islamophobia.
But who's talking about? Yeah.
Well, what about the Christian?
What about when they tried to kill Nisar, the Christian who converted from Islam, and they tried to kill him in Bradford? Where was the day's worth of lectures about Christophobia and prejudice aimed towards Christians? Nothing. So here, to all of you who are Christians, to you paperboy, to you brother, and to you who's wearing the cross, if you're a Christian, the media are trying to control a narrative. We Christians need to talk about our own narrative. to the media and to anyone else who will listen.
Why do you think the media is controlling the narrative to that extent, to downtrodden Christianity?
Because they're afraid. They are afraid that if they talk about the persecution of Christians in the Islamic world, that what will happen is that there'll be some kind of backlash, that it'll create a kind of war, a dichotomy, a tension. So they don't want to inflame those tensions. But what they're doing, and my criticism of the media is this, that what they are doing by turning a blind eye rather than having the balls to challenge it, is that they're allowing it to continue. They need to shine a spotlight on it for it to stop. We have to talk about it for it to stop.
Can I just make, yes, I'd like to mention a few of the incidences. I did mention the 500 children that were kidnapped and 75 escaped. But we need to look at what happened to a Catholic church was attacked by 3 suicide bombers just a few days after the incident in New Zealand.
Where was that?
In northern Nigeria. The attacks have happened in Chad, in northern Nigeria. Yes.
There was also an attack against Christians in Pakistan.
There was an attack against Coptic Christians in Egypt.
Yeah.
3 were shot dead. So we look at all these incidences and nobody has made any mention to them. But we have to look at when 180 homes are destroyed and 280 people are killed, and it doesn't make mention to the news.
What's that saying about the media?
What is that saying about the media? We're not asking for special, how would I say, anything special in regards to Christianity, but we should remember that these are innocent people that are suffering injustice. And we as a Christian community, we are told to expect persecution. Our Bible clearly says this. Yeah. But there is persecution and there is ethnic cleansing.
The Bible is brainwashing.
This guy,
don't give him any.
Yes, I really.
Keep going.
There is persecution, but there is a systematic eradication of Christians in the region that Muslims are living in. This is a near genocide kind of
and yet it's got
system.
No media coverage.
And it's getting no media coverage. We saw this in Iraq, that there used to be 1.5 million Christians. They're down to 250,000. We've seen this in Syria. The Christians are being driven out of the lands. And if we talk about it, we're being Islamophobic, but
all we're doing is Christian.
Yes, we're
just being Christian.
Yeah, we're being Christian. We're not taking the battle.
The Christian, because the Christian faith, because the Christian faith, because the Christian faith. Don't give him fuel. He's an anti-Semite. He's here to push some ridiculous, brother. He's just here to push some ridiculous conspiracy theory about the Jewish people. You're an idiot, mate. You're a total buffoon. Now, but the fact is, as Christians, we have a moral obligation to speak up for and to stand up for our brothers and sisters. We have an obligation to stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters wherever they are in the world. That means standing with Nisar when they attempted to kill him in Bradford. It means standing with the Nigerians when they tried to kill them in North Nigeria. It means standing with Christians when they tried to kill them in Egypt. And it means standing with Christians when they tried to kill them in Pakistan. And we need to become activists. The Christians of the West, the Christians of the West, leave him, bro. The Christians of the West have been pacified by a liberal narrative. We have become the doormats of Western society. We need to become activists, because if we don't become activists, we have failed in our discipleship. Being a disciple means becoming an activist. And if we don't become activists, then the vacuum created by liberal secularism will be filled by something other than the church.
Bob, can I just address something? You talked about liberal secularism. Now, we've just seen this guy talking a lot of unnecessary
He's deranged, mate.
No, he is deranged, but he's part of the problem now, that we live in a society that people voice an opinion and they have not looked at there are people being killed, there are Christians being persecuted. Not once in the statement has Bob said, oh, let's retaliate or anything.
Thank you.
He has not try to encourage any anger or hate. We're not. No one here has said anything against Islam, the Muslims. That is not our point. We are saying that we should look at this injustice and see how we can bring it to an end.
Yes,
that is all we're asking for. So if it takes community leaders or politicians to talk with the leaders in the Islamic world to curtail the movement of these groups that are causing this violence, they can be spoken with.
Yeah.
They have a spokesperson somewhere that can be reached.
But the thing is, like what happened with ISIS. Like what happened with ISIS. The ISIS is an example where you couldn't negotiate because the person that would sit across from the table with you would have no rational demand. Their demand would be total submission. And the West intervened. So where it is necessary to stop groups like Boko Haram, then we should, as Christians, call for intervention that is sufficient to stop the problem.
Can I support your statement on the intervention? If you look at the Global Terrorism Index, Boko Haram are actually considered the #1 biggest terrorist organization. And the Fulani militants are #4 in the Global Terrorism Index. So if they are actually more dangerous than ISIS, how come the West does not intervene to get rid of Boko Haram as well?
Why is it they intervene? I'll tell you why. Because we remember when ISIS cleared out Mosul of all of its Christians, the West did nothing. Now, the West intervened when it was made clear that the Islamists were going to wipe out the Yazidis. And that's good. I applaud that. I'm happy they did. But what that tells me is that the Christians of Mosul were not worth intervening for. So the Yazidis are worth intervening for, but the Christians aren't. Christians, stop looking to the liberal secular state as if it's going to come to your aid. It's not. Christians, you have to become activists and stand up for your own community. You have to be activists and you have to make the liberals listen, because they will never talk about what's happening in Nigeria, Egypt, Pakistan, Syria, Iraq, Chad, South Sudan, North Sudan,
Philippines,
Iran, Tunisia, Morocco, Indonesia, Pakistan, Algeria. They're not going to talk about it. They're not going to talk about Christians being persecuted in Palestine. We have to break the media narrative, and that starts by freeing your own mind first, as many of us here in the park have. You who are watching need to free your mind and realize that the liberal media are saying look into this box and ignore everything else that's happening around you.
And what do you think the church leaders, can they play a part?
I honestly despair when I think about the bishops. The bishops are useless. And the reason why the bishops are useless is because they don't have any political narrative that is rooted in a Christian identity. So when they try to think about politics, they think about it through a socialist prism, or a liberal prism, or a liberal progressive prism, or a green political prism. They don't have a political narrative that is rooted in solidarity of Christians with Christians. And until they have such a political narrative, they will continue to be as useless as a chocolate fireguard.
Excuse me, should you not be honest when you say something to the camera?
I am.
No, you're not. I am. No, the way you said it.
So what have I lied about?
No, listen. The way you said it, you're telling people that Christians in Syria, in Iraq, in Egypt, they are the only people are being persecuted.
No, look, please don't say that. You're trying to hijack the narrative.
I didn't say only.
I heard you talk
Where did
about,
I say only?
No, listen,
Where did
the
I
way
say
you said
only?
it, that's how I understood it.
Well, then you weren't paying attention.
No,
I didn't say only.
That is how you
Then you were not paying attention.
This
That's
is the way
your
you said
fault.
it. No,
that's your fault.
It's the way you said
No,
it.
you're hijacking the narrative. These guys are Dawah.
So in other
They're
words,
part of the Dawah.
in other words,
they're not here.
Christians can't talk about persecuted Christians. We can't talk about persecuted Christians. Well, I say that we cannot talk about persecuted fanatic Christians.
You said,
We can and we will.
You mentioned ISIS.
We can and we will.
You mentioned ISIS and you mentioned the Christians.
We mentioned Boko Haram.
I also mentioned the
Yazidis. You stop.
I also mentioned the Yazidis.
Muslims suffered.
I also mentioned the Yazidis.
And the Muslims.
We also mentioned the Yazidis.
And the Muslims.
Can you allow him to speak?
Say it. As the Muslims as well.
So notice the supremacist ideology of Islam, of this gentleman. Notice the supremacist ideology. Notice, we Christians can't talk about the persecution of Christians.
No.
We can't.
I didn't say that.
But did any of the Muslims, when they were talking last week about that heinous crime that happened in New Zealand, did any of them mention the persecution of Christians in Nigeria? No, they didn't. Did you?
Why are you getting
Did you?
I'm against it.
Were you here last night?
Condemn it on camera. You have a chance. Condemn it, please. 500 children were
Condemn the
kidnapped.
persecution of Christians.
Condemn it.
Well done.
Yeah, condemn also. Listen, be honest.
I condemn ISIS's persecution of the Shia Muslims.
Okay.
Is that all right? Is that all right? Can I go back to talking about murdered Christians now, without you being offended?
No. Do you condemn any white supremacist activities
Yes,
against Muslims?
I've spent all day condemning white supremacists.
That's fine.
All day.
I'm happy with that.
And you'll see the video.
No, but listen, what attracted my attention is when you mentioned ISIS, you only mentioned the Christians.
I also mentioned the Yazidis. You weren't
you
paying
did mention
attention.
the Muslims as well.
No!
We're not persecuted at the
When
hand
the
of ISIS.
Muslims, hold on.
Were there not Muslims
Were you
persecuted at the hand of ISIS? Answer me.
Were you preaching this when the media ignored the death of 120 Christians in Nigeria
on the same day,
and only talked about what happened in New Zealand?
Look, the media, I'm against the media. The media is doing bad job.
And what about
But this brother says that it's a hoax that Christians were killed in Nigeria.
Fantasies!
Why are you changing the
I gotta
subject?
go. I know. I'm talking about the same subject. You're trying to impose into this conversation.
No, because the way you said this,
I'm gonna go.
If you're,
Go on, Uncle. I'll let you have the last say.
if you're in support of humanity in general, yes, and you're against any oppression, any injustice done to innocent people, you should mention them all.
Well, that's what we've done.
Right.
Tell the media that.
Perfect. That's what we. Thank you.
exactly what I'm talking about.
I'm talking to you. You're not the media. Are you the media?
Okay, can you please? You've
Thank you,
interrupted our
We're going to go back to our conversation now.
So
you have the last point because I really am trying to leave.
I did finish off with saying the church leaders have failed. So what we need, I would say, is that the Christian community has to somehow come up with a plan, just like what happened with the condemnation of this ethno-nationalist murdering those Muslims. We need somehow someone that can interact with the Islamic world and get them to say and condemn the atrocities being done in the name of Islam. Because unless those atrocities are addressed by the Islamic community, the Christians in northern Nigeria, Chad, Cameroon and Egypt will consistently pay the price.
But I would say actually that even before that something else needs to change.
Please tell me.
The culture of the church needs to change. The culture of every Christian fellowship across the world needs to change. Because we are divided by our denomination, we are too inward looking, we don't see how our faith interacts in politics, and we don't have a narrative of solidarity with our brothers and sisters who are being persecuted.
That's true.
And that culture needs to change.
We need to stand up.
And we need to become activists in society.
Absolutely.
Look at how, for instance,
Instead of turning a blind eye to everything.
amen. Look at how, for instance, the groups that have protested about Palestine have managed to dominate the media agenda. We Christians need to start getting out on the streets. We Christians need to start asking the question in every public forum, why are the liberals quiet about Christophobia? We need to be writing letters. We need to be talking to our neighbours. We need to be talking to our work colleagues. We need to be talking about the suffering of our own people and inviting people to join with us in standing against it. We need to stop believing that the response to every problem is just to sit in the church and pray. Yes, pray, but do more than pray. Christians are losing in the West, and we are losing in the West because we follow an effeminized, a doormat kind of Christianity, because our bishops are doormats and our bishops are effeminized. What we need is to rediscover activism and use our imaginations and organize our networks so that we can meet the needs of our own community, and so that we can stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters. We need to change the culture of the church. It's not about having some grand plan. It's about having a new way of thinking what it means to be a disciple of Christ. And that is about being an activist, to stand up for the cause of the church. I'll give you one example and then I'm really going to go. There was a Christian brother, I think it was up in Sheffield. He got kicked out of his university because he made a Facebook comment, and his career was ruined. Now, Christians, like Christian Concern for Our Nation, supported the brother. And I'm sure there were many individual Christians that supported him. But why did the entire Christian community of Sheffield not protest day after day after day at that Sheffield University because of its prejudice against that brother? I'll tell you why. It's because Christians have forgotten how to stand up for themselves. And we need to rediscover what it means to be more than a conqueror.
Can I just make mention to one thing Bob said, standing up for ourselves. He did not call to violence.
Thank you.
This is not Christian way. We will always obviously pray and hope that the Lord inspires anything we do, and we give him the glory for it. But we can't just sit down and just pray and do nothing about it. We need to get involved actively in any way we can. So some of you might be giving charity to those that are displaced by these violent actions in North Africa or whatever. You can also support the Christians. You should hear the laments of the bishops in those regions of Africa where they're persecuted. They say, well, our brothers in the West, they got tears. You got full-grown men in tears coming down their eyes. They're asking for your help in the West. And I think some of you Christians in the West, in the United States, the Bible Belt, you need to really take this on board. Listen to the cries of your brothers in the developing parts of the world, in India, Pakistan, and other places, and see what they're going through. They're being persecuted, and do what you can. I'm not telling anybody, and no one is telling anyone, to take up any kind of violent action. That is not Christian. What we are saying is be active. That is the Christian way. Prayer, charity, and don't let the word of God be defunct, because that is what the enemy is trying to do.
Definitely one thing that you should do is to push your governments to do more than simply give this problem lip service. Push your governments to do that which is necessary to stop Boko Haram, to stop it. Not just say it's wrong and it's bad, not interested in your speeches. Do what's necessary to stop Boko Haram.
Yes.
And the Fulanis.
And the Fulani. And those that persecute the Coptics. God bless you.
Amen.